Bergman Island, a film that premiered at Cannes this past July. Uh, this was released in France back in July as well, but I
Hmm.
don't think it's come to the States until quite recently.
Yeah, I had like a really like brief run, I think like New York, LA only, and then it hit VOD 2 weeks ago from IFC Films. So not much of a release outside of Europe. And here it is, as you said, premiered at Cannes, the latest film from Mia Hansen-Løve, a accomplished French film director who had previously won the Golden Bear at the Berlin Film Festival. So she's quite well known in Europe. I'm not familiar with her work to this point, but this kind of got my attention because of the con reception, and also it stars Tim Roth and Vicky Krieps, two people I like. So I was like, okay, definitely gonna check this out when it comes, and here it is.
Yeah, I think obviously seeing Vicky Krieps and Tim Roth made me perk up at first because I was like, I don't know what to expect with this movie, especially when it seems like they're going to some sort of island for Ingmar Bergman, a director from I believe he started in the '60s, right? '60s,
Yes,
'70s
who's
era.
obviously been on the mind recently with Scenes from a Marriage getting remade at
Exactly.
HBO.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not exactly sure what to make of this movie. It's a little like psychological at points and a
Yeah.
little like it screws with you a little bit. But I also just kind of found it to be a bit like meandering at times. You're really like sitting with the scenes and sitting with some of the things that are happening. Um, I don't know if I found it as like riveting as maybe I was hoping, and I think I felt a little just like losing interest at times, but it kept pulling me back in. The Tim Roth Cripes dynamic was pretty good, and then obviously I think when Cripes is talking about her script idea, but I
Yeah.
mean, other than that, I don't know if too much stood out. What did you think of the film, though?
Yeah, so I also really I didn't like know what the movie was about besides like what the title suggests. So I didn't know what to expect either. And what you get is a movie that's incredibly meta on many levels. And me, I'm not well versed in Ingmar Bergman's work. So the fact that this is a story where you go to the island of Faro, where Bergman lived and operated as a creator, and you have all these characters having conversations about Bergman, like all these cinephiles, right? It's like, okay, this is kind of all a little like over my head because I just don't really know the material the way they do, right?
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, something that I only learned by reading about the film, but there's also so much meta commentary, meta storytelling from Mia Hansen-Løve, who I didn't like know any of this about her, whereas Vicky Krieps and then also, of course, especially Mia Wasikowska, but especially Vicky Krieps, is like a stand-in for Mia Hansen-Løve, and Tim Roth is a stand-in for her ex partner, the famous director Olivia Sayas, of which they share a child. So like, I was not really privy to her Mia Hansen-Løve's past relationship to see it being obviously referenced and nodded to in her own film. Apparently, she also has referenced her own life in her past work too. So a lot of that stuff just kind of like as new to Bergman, new to Mia Hansen-Løve, kind of like isn't like not noticed by me watching the film. But I agree what you said about like the whimsical nature of the storytelling is not the most riveting thing ever. But I guess I still appreciate the movie because I really liked once we got to that like story within a story
Mm-hmm.
aspect to the film where Cripes is explaining her screenplay or dictating it out to Tim Roth. And then we get Mia Wasikowska coming into the film, and then Anders Danielson Lee as well. And I think I like that part a little bit more, but you probably need to know all this meta stuff to truly get everything being referenced, I feel like.
Yeah, I had read that this was based on some of Love's experience, but I didn't get a chance to like deep dive onto that too much. And it's funny because I don't think the movie is like necessarily like poorly made or anything. I think some of the shots are really beautiful, especially some of the stuff like on the beach or like exploring the countryside of the island. I thought was just really really nice. Um, and I think you really can feel the like distance between Cripes and Roth's character. And obviously, I think some of the like the subtext of her looking for her partner to be there for her in certain ways, and he just kind of always is looking for work or what's next and never really like supporting her really comes across well, and makes you kind of understand why maybe the relationship doesn't work. But again, not knowing that subtext, I just kind of found it to kind of be like, oh, okay, well, it seems like this woman is looking for her husband to be there. He's really like self-involved and not super supportive. And then she seems to like find her own ideas and doesn't really need him and goes on to have her own
Right.
success. That was just kind of the takeaway. I
Yeah.
don't know. I just didn't get as much from the movie as I was hoping, but still not bad, not poorly made. I think definitely interesting to see that Greta Gerwig and John Turturro were originally cast to be in the main roles. Would have been a very interesting movie with those two, I feel.
Yeah, I'll say. That's cool.
Yeah.
Shout out Vicky Krieps coming back to acting in a really big way post Phantom Thread with this and Old, as well as the Netflix film Beckett. You know, she had been kind of not around since
Yeah.
she showed up kind of out of nowhere on Phantom Thread. So that's nice to see.